Oh man, hello everyone, welcome back to SwitchUp. I've just been having a little gander at the sales and there are some really nice ones on, ones that I have never seen on sale before. I don't know if that's a good thing at this stage in the game. It feels like my backlog is just looking at me accusingly. Well, I'm going to ignore it, give away a free game to this person, congrats, ping us an email, we'll get you that. Tell you guys that you should save yourself 5% more by buying your eShop credit over at switchup.gg and we get a tiny little kickback from Nintendo and then jumping straight into the sales video. So what are the best games on sale? Well, my name's Mark Walker. Welcome back to the channel. Now let's find out. First up, we've got the Falconeer Warrior Edition, which is down to £4.99. That's 80% off. That is a ridiculously good price. It hasn't come close to this. Some of you may not have even heard of the Falconeer. It's from a solo indie developer called Thomas Sala, and a Falconeer is basically an airborne warrior, and in that regard, when you're on the Falcon, it feels a little bit like something like Star Fox, but with full 3D control. It's got full-on campaigns and storylines, and a big mystery surrounding a place called Ursi. I think that's how you pronounce it. The game is fully voiced. There are rival factions within the world, kind of battling against each other, and it's a bit of a hidden gem really. It looks absolutely stunning. Now I think, if I'm not mistaken, and I might well be mistaken, but I'm sure he either heavily modified or made this engine himself. I know that in his next game, which is called like Bulwark or something like that, he's used the same engine because basically it's so good. There's a physical available for this if you're interested, obviously a lot more than this price, but it's just 1.6 gigs to download. That's the Falconeer Warrior Edition. That sale goes on until February the 13th. Next, we've got the heavily patched up Tales of Symphonia Remastered, which is 65% off. That makes it a delightful £12.59. That's, that matches the cheapest it's been. And it's really nice to be recommending this because it's a brilliant JRPG. It goes down the action RPG route. The combat's super fast paced. It isn't based on, I think it was either the GameCube or the Wii version that ran at 60 FPS. This is based on the PlayStation version that was at 30. So that's the only real negative here. They've fixed the performance issues that were present in the game. I do have a full review of this. It's a cracking one and it's a fan favourite for a reason. It was just a shame that they released it in such a state. As I say, that's all patched up now. It's just $12.59, 65% off. That sale goes on until February the 16th. Next up then, I always like to get a little point and click or adventure style game from my past. Between Horizons matches that perfectly. I think this was actually made in a game engine that I was thinking about using myself. But you play as Stella, who's basically born on this ship, and she's inherited her father's post as chief of security. But what's clever here is that they have a semi-open narrative. So there's branching narrative paths, and it's the same team that brought us the excellent Lacuna, which is usually a Savaloys selection game because it's just quality. It's really nice to have this hybrid of investigative style detective with that branching sci-fi element. So yeah, if you're looking for a very enjoyable adventure game, it's about 5 or 6 hours long. This is the cheapest it's ever been, $3.99. That sale goes on until February the 20th.
This ship is our cradle, our home, and our grave.
Next up, and just about to receive another massive update in Worlds 2, we've got No Man's Sky, the gift that keeps on giving. Sean Murray actually put out an excellent little video, and you can just hear the guy's passion for this game. As he's building his new game, I forget the name of that one, it basically has like a full curated planet on it. He says that every time he makes a new tech, he just has to go back and implement it in some way into No Man's Sky. It's like an addiction at this point, I think. But yeah, the latest update adds a ton of new content in. It also adds a mode whereby you can have a completely barren, empty, what would you call it? Galaxy. So there's no creatures or anything. You're just chilling, going through with no one. Now I wouldn't like that at all, but it's a mode and it's there and it makes survival a lot harder apparently. In light of that, he has brought the price down to match the game's lowest ever price. That's 60% off. Absolutely amazing game. So much to do, so much content, 4.8 gigs to download, and that sale for No Man's Sky goes on until February the 12th. Next up, we've got Star Ocean, the second story R, which I absolutely loved. I did my research with this review. I actually went and played the original and it was still quality, but this version is delightful. It's such a good use of that 2D HD art style. The story is cracking, but it's like the job system and how deep you can go on things like that really make it stand out. Plus that kind of futuristic storyline, it just clicks with me. I'm so sick of like elves and goblins and dwarves, and I'm trying to think of other things. That actually having these, well, it was, let's be honest, it was inspired by like Star Trek. And I'm such a space nerd, it was gonna be a win. And you even play as a Federation officer. The storyline can be split between two different characters, and you take control of them at different times. It's got that really iconic soundtrack as well. Just a great game. It took me about 50 hours to finally finish it, so not quite as bad as Xenoblade 3, but well worth the time. It's £26.99, that's 40% off until February the 5th. Now you will find most of Square games are currently on sale, so if you're after a decent Square Enix title, loads of them, like Octopath 1 and 2, all of the Final Fantasies. Don't overlook Final Fantasy 12, underrated. So yeah, grab yourself a bargain. It has had a fair few mentions in my sales videos, I'd say at least 3 or 4 over the years, but Nier Automata, when it goes on sale and it's down to a decent price like this, I just can't overlook it. It's such a good game, and if it means that one person that's never tried it picks it up, I'm okay with that. I'm alright. I can handle someone being like, I've heard that a couple of times. Now this is an amazing game whereby civilization has, well, put it this way, it's not in a great state. And you're sent as an android down to Earth to try and deal with the threat, shall we say, and you end up fighting giant mechs and meeting strange creatures in like overgrown and then corrupted circuses. Is that the plural circus? Circusi? Circuses. I'm going with it. There's even like a roller coaster at one point in this game. You just wouldn't expect it. The combat's amazing. It's like fast-paced action combat, but really slickly designed. It's a fan favorite game. I could tell you the game length, but it's pointless because you have to play this one more than the length of the game to see everything there is to offer. I'll leave it at that. An amazing experience. One of my favorites so far on Switch. Yes, there's a physical as well. That's 50% off until February the 5th. In the UK regions, we've got a lovely sale on Arise, a Simple Story, the Definitive Edition. It is down to its lowest ever price. You're looking at £2.51, which is crazy. Now you can play this one solo, but you can also play it with a friend in co-op, and it's all about love and loss, featuring puzzles as well and a time manipulation mechanic that allows you to reshape your surroundings in what amounts to like a collection of memories. Really good. Always nice when they add in co-op as well. This version features the digital game edition, downloadable digital extras such as an art book and the original soundtrack, and a photo mode as well. And, wait for it, the most important part, gyro support. Happy days. Now, as I say, only in the EU regions and Australia, not available in America sadly. It's 86% off until February the 27th. Next up then, we've got what I would class as a hidden gem. It's called Deadly Days. Now, sadly, it's not on sale in the UK. This one is America only, so I'm trying to be fair. And it is what you would get if you crossed Death Road to Canada and Cannon Fodder. You basically have a group of survivors, you bust them into a zombie-infested zone, and then you direct them around collecting up loot and bits and bobs. But from that like Cannon Fodder style. Now, if you don't know what Cannon Fodder is, it's like a top-down army game where you control these troops and then you could make them fire at enemies, but you like one hit and you die. But here, this is a roguelite, and there are 3 different specialities with new abilities for different survivors. There's 25 different types of weapon, and once you've collected up all your loot and tried to get out, then you head back to your hub base area, gradually building that up. All the things you enjoy in a roguelite. You know the formula. You know how this is going to go. It's going to end eventually in you dying, but there are bosses in there as well, and yeah, pretty addictive. Not too bad at all, and for what, just over $2, that is an easy recommendation.
New survivors and map pieces to finally find M King's headquarters and put an end to the zombie apocalypse.
Next up, we've got Flippin' Death. I love this name. I just love saying it. Sounds like I'm annoyed at it. Flippin' Death. I mean, I am annoyed at death, he's an idiot. But still, this is a fun little one from Zoink Games. What was their other game called? I can't remember. Oh, Stick It to the Man. Yes, Stick It to the Man, that was quality. That's also on sale actually as well. Both of these at the moment are just, well, this is 89 pence. It's 95% off until February the 26th. What's cool is you can flip between two different worlds, between that of the living and that of the dead, and it has that real like dark humour, that like black humour that you would apply to, well, if you're trying to make death comical, I guess. The thing is though, you're just a temp and you play as death. You can possess the living and control their limbs, read their minds and use that to solve puzzles. Yeah, this is really good actually. It reminded me of something from Double Fine, the people that made Broken Age. It's not too short as well for this type of game, about 7 hours long, 2.8 gigs. That is flipping death. That sale goes on until February the 26th. 95% off. Yes, please. Now you would think hidden gems would be difficult to find on Switch, and honestly they are. But sometimes one comes along and it's a game changer. I remember when I first found Disco Elysium and I was like, my word, this is ludicrous. Where's this been my whole life? And while not quite at that level, today's hidden gem is a bit special. It's called 1000X Resist. It's down to £12.56. That's 25% off. It's the cheapest it's ever been. And it has won a bunch of awards. Essentially, it's set 1,000 years in the future where humanity's all but extinguished and a disease that was spread by an alien occupation keeps all the survivors underground. You play as a watcher, and basically within this society, everyone's given a category. So you like have a watcher, a seeker, like they have roles, titled roles. And you're doing everything in the service of the All-Mother. But quickly in the story, you learn that things aren't nearly as they seem. And it does some very cool narrative tricks. So while, you know, we look at alien invasions, we're like, oh my goodness, that's the worst thing ever. Well, actually, the way it plays out here is not what you expect at all. When they arrived, I mean, I don't want to spoil too much, but just put it this way, only one person survives. And not only does she survive, she becomes immortal. And the society you're a part of is birthed from her, which is why she's called the All-Mother. And your role as a watcher is basically to relive and interpret the memories of her. With that said, the game sees you exploring like key moments in the life of the All-Mother, all the way from childhood through. And yeah, it's no joke to say that the story is incredible. Fully voice acted as well. Maybe a game that you've never heard of. Definitely one that goes in the hidden gems category in my opinion. Is 5.9 gigs, about 12 hours long. Really memorable. That's the lowest it's ever been. That sale goes on until February the 23rd.
The All-Mother, she shines so bright.
So then that gives us a few Savaloys, some cheeky little ones that are very cheap and won't even, you know, we won't even notice. We won't even feel bad about it. You've got Little Dragon's Cafe, that's 98% off. Little Dragon's Cafe, 98% off. Holy moly. That ends on February the 26th. That's 89 pence. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's definitely the cheapest that's been. You have to run a little cafe and you've got a little dragon. It's not rocket science. The Last Campfire from Hello Games, 90% off, down to £1.34. Wow, yeah, that's also a ridiculously good price for a lovely adventure game. Flamekeeper, 83% off. This one goes on until the 27th. It's £1.79. Bit of a roguelite. They were going to add some new content. I think they did that, but for £1. Yeah, not too shabby. Game Deck, the definitive edition, is down 90%. I think that's also down to its cheapest ever price, $2.69. This gets a ton of mentions because I really like it. Like anything sci-fi, I'm just like, yeah, okay, I can handle that. You've got Minute of Islands, which is a lovely looking adventure game set, as you can probably tell, on an island. It's 90% off until February the 20th, down to $1.99. And finally, In Between, which is 83% off. This one's actually won a bunch of awards. And you have to manipulate gravity to solve puzzles, and it's all set inside the mind of a man who's been hit by a rather cruel twist of fate. The aim being that you're going to try and free your mind, and it deals with life and death. Quite a heavy hitter actually. You wouldn't think so, would you, looking at that? I think there's a physical of that one. So that is it for this week. Let me know, did I manage to trigger your backlog, or have you got away unscathed? If you got away unscathed past the hidden gem of the week, I salute you, because that is just everything I like in a hidden gem. Something I'd never heard of, has a little bit of sci-fi, a little bit of storytelling, well, a lot of storytelling, and that kind of unusual hook. So yeah, let me know in the comments, what have you picked up, what are you enjoying, and as always, if you want to save money, go to switchup.gg to get your eShop credit and you'll save 5%. You'll get that in cash back. A thank you to our Patreons, our members, all of you that enjoy the content, and as always, for all things Switch, all the time, keep it Switch up. Cheers guys, see ya!